those that don't know, A Series of Unfortunate Events is a series of 13 books written by Lemony Snicket. It follows the lives of the Baudelaire siblings, Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, as they travel from home to home after their parents died in a fire. And no matter where they go, they are followed by their first guardian, the villainous Count Olaf, who is after the Baudelaire fortune, which the Baudelaires won't get until Violet is of age. It obviously gets much more complicated than that, but I want to try to avoid spoilers from the series as much as I possibly can. So that's the general outline of the series. A movie adaptation of the first 3 books of the series was made in 2004. While I enjoyed the movie, I wouldn't necessarily call it a good adaptation. However, I am not here today to talk about the movie, I am here to talk about the TV series. In 2017, Netflix released their adaptation of A Series of Unfortunate Events, which covered the first 4 books in the series. To me, this was a good adaptation of the series. Now, it's common knowledge that I am a fan of Neil Patrick Harris, or if it's not common knowledge, it should be. So when I heard that he was going to be playing Count Olaf, I was very excited. Now, I'm not going to compare this series to the movie that much because they are 2 separate adaptations. But to talk about why I enjoyed this particular portrayal of Count Olaf, I do have to talk about the movie. In the movie, Count Olaf was played by Jim Carrey. Now, Jim Carrey is a fantastic actor. I want to get that out of the way. While I personally have only seen him do comedic roles, I know that he can do serious roles. Which is why I find it so baffling that he decided to go full comedy with his portrayal of Count Olaf. Olaf in the books was menacing, a real threat. Someone who was genuinely terrifying. Jim Carrey just wasn't. Like, he heaped on the comedy. Which means that whenever he tried to be threatening, I just didn't buy it. Now, Neil Patrick Harris is also a very good comedic actor. And he does add a touch of humor to the character that wasn't in the original books. However, Neil Patrick Harris was still able to make this character terrifying. So while he was still funny on occasion, I still considered his version of Count Olaf a threat, which I never did with Carrey's version. But Neil Patrick Harris is not the only reason why I like this particular adaptation, though it is certainly a big one. All of the actors in this series does a great job. For the most part, this series consisted of actors that I had never seen before, and all of them played their parts extremely well. The kids did a great job as Violet, Klaus, and Sunny. The Guardians all did a great job, from the warm and loving but slightly naive Monty, to the timid, afraid of her own shadow Josephine, to the callous Sir and the apologetic Charles. The side characters were also fantastic. I'm not going to talk about every single one because that would take a while, but I am going to mention some of the highlights. Olaf's henchmen were also played perfectly, mixing humor with that actual threat that, once again, we didn't really get in the movies. I particularly love that they were kind of like a Greek chorus to Olaf. I thought it was a nice touch. Mr. Poe did a great job with his bumbling incompetence, and we also got to see a bit more of his family, especially his wife. And I also really loved all the people and all the scenes connected to the secret organization. So, slight spoilers ahead, but in the books, the Baudelaire orphans discover a secret organization called VFD, which their parents were a part of. This organization is something that they find out more and more about as the series continues, but by the series' end, there's still a lot of mystery around it. This series allows us to see more of this organization, but it doesn't get rid of all of the mystery. It just allows us to see more of the behind-the-scenes stuff, which I personally really loved. And considering the author of the books himself helped write this series, I think we can also consider it canon. And of course, there's Patrick Warburton as Lemony Snicket, which was just perfect casting. The bottom line here is I love this adaptation and I can't wait to see where it goes next.